All right, welcome back, Free Radicals. My name is Dave, and thanks for tuning in. This is the Radical Independent, the channel that is attempting to be post-partisan. Oh, man. So, this afternoon, and I blame myself. First of all, I blame myself for being on Twitter defending Tulsi Gabbard when people are attacking her because, again, this Obama thing where Obama says the cancel culture is bad and Tulsi says, I agree with Obama. And as soon as you say you agree with Obama, just like when you say, I don't think Joe Biden is a racist, which, she said, which then Kamala Harris said, and then most of the mainstream media, because they're in the tank with Joe, have kind of let the whole issue go. A lot of progressives won't let it go. There is, a saying that people do change or people realize that there is a new cultural sensitivity. Can I say this about the new cultural sensitivity? It's going to get us nowhere. Okay, this is, the religious right in the 1980s were very culturally sensitive to everything that people did or said. And it became very much a talking point for those on the left to say, hey, these people, they're prudes, they're, they're weird. There were a lot of pejoratives that were thrown at the religious right. Well, there's a new cancel culture morality, politically correct, woke, whatever you want to call it. I didn't get this thing about the wokeness, I'm awake. There are a lot of people that are awake that have political views, by the way, and woke doesn't necessarily mean right, okay? Woke sometimes it's off-putting because people are just parsing your words, throwing your words back in your face. They don't know you personally. They make all of these judgments about you, and then you're sitting there and you're going, what did I just say? All I said was that Tulsi Gabbard is quoting Obama, and Obama is correct about this issue. Well, did you know he's a war criminal? All right, so you see this guy here on stage? He campaigned with Hillary Clinton in 2016. He was basically saying, I want her to be president. I'm with her. Now, do I forgive him for that? I guess. I'm not mad about it. I'm not sitting there on Twitter ready to pounce on anyone. Well, how can you support Bernie Sanders? He supported a war criminal, right? And Hillary Clinton, tell you what, between her and her husband, they did far more damage than Obama. Obama was a guy who just let off the gas and got out of the car. And because he had campaigned on, maybe we shouldn't do these interventions, but mine are going to be kinder, gentler. My version of rendition is going to be much nicer than George W. Bush's. Seriously, that's what happened. Okay, nothing changed. And by the way, we're all in this together when it comes to the forces that are really controlling the government. Let me say that again. The forces that are really controlling things, when a president gets into office and sits down with all of these generals and commanders and Pentagon officials, CIA, FBI, you name the alphabet soup agency. Do you think we've created something that's bigger than the presidency? Not you and I, but it's like administration after. Like, did we need Homeland Security? This is just another layer of control. And these people go out and they do the stuff that they do and they get approval from the president. But my guess is still the president doesn't have a lot of control of this, or they're told once they get there that, look, you're a figurehead. Your job is domestic policy, worrying about the homeland, worrying about economic policy. We'll take care of stuff around the world. And it's around the world. The United States has become an uncontrollable empire. So when you use the guilt by association thing, like Tulsi said something about Obama, who said something about the cancel culture, which happened to be right. Obama if you sat down with Obama, he would probably tell you, and maybe he was all in with this stuff, I don't know, he would probably tell you, look, my instincts were probably for peace and for not going to different countries and bombing, but this is what we do. He sat down and gave an interview, said he was kind of like a moderate Republican at one point. Look, this revolution that a lot of us want it's got to be a peaceful revolution, number one. Number two, we have to actually understand the realities of this. Rather than picking stupid fights about Tulsi Gabbard's Aloha spirit, we ought to be thinking to ourselves, okay, why is she saying that? Well, obviously she's consistent. She's a consistent human being. Keep in mind, all right, if we're keeping score, and I'm trying not to keep score here, I don't remember Tulsi Gabbard in 2016 going around the country campaigning with and for Hillary Clinton. I don't, maybe there's footage of that. Someone want to send me the footage of Hillary campaigning with Tulsi? That'd be interesting, because Hillary thinks that Tulsi's like a Russian asset or something. So I don't think Hillary, in her warped state of mind, would be out there campaigning with a Russian asset. Bernie Sanders, however, said, you know what? If I'm going to take another crack at this, and I'm just saying, he was being pragmatic. Was Bernie wrong to do that? His supporters say, I didn't agree with that, but they're full steam ahead with Bernie, right? Because they forgive Bernie over that. You're not going to find this purity testing that you're doing. It doesn't exist. Why did Tulsi Gabbard have to talk about Joe Biden? Something that happened, 40 years ago? And Biden's answer was, well, I had to work with everybody in Congress and senators from the South and whatever who were clearly very much on the wrong side of the racial divide at that time. And Biden tried to justify it. And people didn't accept his response for the most part. Tulsi Gabbard said, hey, cut the guy some slack. And then everybody says, well, Tulsi must be kind of, positioning herself for vice president under Biden if he gets the nomination. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. It's like political nonsense, but it's put out there as something that we ought to just I don't know. It's a conspiracy theory. I guess it'll get people talking. So I cut Bernie Sanders slack. Can you believe me would cut Bernie Sanders some slack? I do. He did all of what the DNC asked him to do last time around. And he compromised a lot of principles. And he probably angered a few people. That's why there are a lot of Tulsi people that don't trust him. And they think, hey, what if Warren gets the nomination? Is Bernie going to go campaign with Elizabeth Warren? I'm thinking he might. I don't think Tulsi Gabbard's going to campaign with anybody if she doesn't get the nomination. I don't think she's going out on the campaign trail. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she'll throw some Aloha at it. But I think when it comes to actual policy and what the candidate represents, I think Tulsi's going to have to really be very close to that candidate. And Bernie is the only candidate out there. Now, if Bernie gets the nomination and Tulsi doesn't, right? There are a lot of enthusiastic Tulsi supporters, and it's a growing base of support right now. So I think the last thing you want to do if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter is to throw shade at people like me because I believe in Aloha. That's the last thing you need to do. If we differ, for instance, like I think third trimester abortions isn't a good idea, and you come at me and say, well, until the umbilical cord is cut, it's a woman's right to choose that. I'm like, okay, I guess we can disagree on that. But see, there's this level of hostility and this purity test that people go through. I had a guy say that to me, by the way, on Twitter. That's why I actually quoted it that way. And I'm thinking to myself, wow. Wow. For me, that's just an untenable position. But hey, okay, I get it. Everybody's so afraid on that issue that it's just going to be a slippery slope down to, you can't have sex anymore, basically. I mean, I don't know what the slippery slope is, but everybody is so fearful of it. Meanwhile, we've got jobs, healthcare, the environment, your typical issues, education, all right, student loan debt, and I believe in these issues, and these are great issues to campaign on. But worrying about if Tulsi Gabbard is practicing her faith, basically, practicing Hawaiian tradition, all right, and trying to show that to the rest of the country, something that Martin Luther King, by the way, found was very refreshing about Hawaii when he went there. He said, I wish the rest of the country would be like this. And by the way, it hasn't changed. The people over there still practice aloha, and it works. You're not going to convince your enemies to put their arms down by yelling and screaming at them. Yeah, sometimes you have to fight. I understand it. But when you are coiled up, ready to spring out, and people are just like, hey, what's up, dude? And you're coming at people with all of this pent-up angst and frustration. It's not a good look. And there are people, I won't pledge to do this, but I'll say this. There are people who might get tired of getting beat up, who are for Tulsi. They might get tired of the relentless, she just said this about Joe Biden, and what is her political calculation? What is wrong with her? And it's not an astute thing. And enough people are going to say, you know what? Number one, you don't understand Tulsi. Number two, I don't want to have anything to do with you or your candidate. Gandhi said it about Christians, right? Gandhi said, I like your Christ. I don't like your Christians. Now, I like Bernie. Don't like some of his supporters. There are a couple on Twitter that are just great people, and they like me and I like them, and we disagree on a few things, but we coexist, like the old bumper sticker says. And I think we need to do that. But coexist is kind of like aloha, isn't it? So, yeah, am I defending? By the way, I'm not trying to defend war criminals, because that'll be the next thing, or you're just defending war criminals. No, I'm actually supporting the candidate who cares the most about the war criminals, Tulsi Gabbard. So please don't lecture me on the war criminals, all right? Because, again, we've got this giant apparatus that nobody wants to talk about, which turns every president into a war criminal. Some of them went willingly, and some of them got there and probably said, holy crap, I can't do anything about this. All right? Obama is one of them that said, holy crap, can't do anything about it. George W. Bush went willingly. Okay? Clinton probably went willingly. George H.W. Bush went willingly. Trump, I think Trump even went and probably thought, oh, I can change the culture here. Nope. Not when it comes to the military. Plus, Trump was very aggressive, using a lot of military language when he was campaigning, talking about ISIS and so forth. And the military probably loved that. They probably thought, hey, we can shape and mold him into a regime change specialist, in addition to, fighting terrorism. And I think they've largely succeeded, So we've got a lot to deal with. And I don't know if the people can take this back. There are days where I think, no, it's a machine that's wound up and it's on its own. It's traveling at a speed and we can't curtail it. We can protest, we can go to jail, we can do all kinds of things in the name of peace. But until there is such a large majority speaking peacefully and in unison, things aren't going to change. So, in any event, aloha to all my Bernie friends and all the Bernie supporters out there. Practicing aloha and being more like Tulsi Gabbard, even if Tulsi isn't the nominee, it's going to serve you well in life. And it's not going to look good being the angry young man or woman or older person, whatever. People are just going to say, you know what? Again, I like Bernie, but I'm not too fond of some of his supporters. So, That's my video, all based on some Twitter interactions today, and I should know better. I really should. Aloha. Happy Halloween.